Where's my damn green card? 2022 update. Hi, I'm Jim Hacking, immigration lawyer practicing law throughout the United States out of our offices in St. Louis, San Diego, and Washington, D.C. Sadly, we make a video like this every year, and it seems like things are just getting worse and worse. In this video, we're going to talk about exactly why green cards are taking so long. We're going to discuss the state of things. We're going to talk about how we got here. And then at the end, I have a little bit of a bonus for you, a little bit of a hopeful promise of what might be coming down the pike, what might actually help to solve this problem. As we begin, we need to remember that USCIS, the United States Citizenship and Immigration Service, is this huge bureaucracy. It's an organization, a part of the government that's built for delay. This is an agency that's still working in paper for the most part. Despite Al Gore's promising that we're going to have a paperless federal government years and years ago, we are nowhere near there. If you've ever been to a USCIS office, you can see proof of this because there are stacks and stacks of files, piles and piles of paper. This is an agency that is operating on technology from the 1970s. I'm not saying that as a joke. This is an organization that's operating on technology from the 1970s. So it is inherent in the agency's operating DNA to go slowly. And then you have to ask yourself, who are the kind of people that want to go work for a bureaucracy like that? You're not going to find a lot of quick starts in there. You're not going to find a lot of movers and shakers. You're talking about people who are drawn to the safety and security of working for the federal government. They have a mindset of don't rock the boat. Don't make a mistake. Don't be the person who approves someone who then might turn out to be a bad guy or a bad lady. That's who you're dealing with. That's who's running the show. So you have these people who have been working for the government year after year. They come in every single day to that office and see another pile of documents waiting for them to sort themselves out. This is what we're dealing with. This is the mentality. These are the types of people that you have sitting across the desk from you when you go to your interview. I'm not saying they're bad people. I'm just saying they're not people that are going to really go out on a limb for you or move really quickly to try to get your case approved. The other thing is this agency is built to say no. You need to keep in mind that it's not that the tie goes to the runner. It's not that it's 50-50. Maybe they'll approve it. Maybe they'll not. Maybe they're going to give you a fair shot. This is an organization that's built to say no. It's better for them to say no. For the prior administration, they were tracked on how often they said no, and the people that said no more often got better praise than the people who did not. So this is an agency that, they're looking for ways and they're looking all around to see, is there a way that I can deny this case? That's their modus operandi. That's their mindset. That's the way that they're looking at your case. Let's talk about the good old days. Now, of course, when we were in the good old days, we didn't know we were in the good old days, but in the early times that I started practicing immigration law back in 2007, 2008, cases moved much more quickly than they do now. And of course, we were complaining back then about the delays, but those delays have nothing on the delays and the processing times that we're seeing right now. We used to think that it was absurd that it took 6 months for a green card case to get approved. We would do a happy dance. Our clients would be ecstatic right now if we could get their cases adjudicated in under 6 months. That's just unheard of. Now we're starting to see signs of that. Every now and then you hear of a case that goes very quickly. Everyone has this mythical uncle in California who knows this lady down the street who has a brother who got his green card case in 2 or 3 months. Haven't seen it yet here in our office, but we have started hearing rumors about that. So we'll see if that comes true. But in the end, things now are nowhere near as good as they were back then, and we didn't even know it. I point that out just to make the point that it is possible. It is possible for this agency to move a whole lot more quickly than they do now. And so when people tell me, well, there's all these reasons why, and no, we can't really get things moving again, I shake my head and say I've seen that before, so I don't know that that's entirely accurate. And then, of course, we had the administration of Donald J. Trump. And Mr. Trump and his team at the Attorney General's office, Homeland Security, they did everything that they could to slow down the immigration process. They did not just want to shut down illegal immigration. They had legal immigration in their sights. They had every intention of slowing down legal immigration to the United States, and they did a masterful job of it. I've said many times that during the Trump days that they would make more changes in a week than we would previously see in 2 or 3 months. They moved very quickly to make life a lot harder for immigrants who are applying either based on family reasons, applying for asylum, or applying through the employment process. And so the agency did know how to move quickly then, and they were moving quickly in a way to be evil, in a way to slow things down, in a way to put a monkey wrench in everybody's cases. And it took a real toll. Add on top of that, we had the COVID scare and the COVID pandemic, and you have a almost perfect storm of creating this backlog that we're seeing now at USCIS. So it's sort of two things combined. The Trump team's decision to make immigration harder, slower, and more painful, and the very true and real consequences of COVID, which was that the offices were closed for a while. They had to maintain social distancing. They throttled back their processing. And I don't discount that. I don't say that that wasn't true or accurate or something that actually happened. I believe that part of the slowdown was COVID. But at the same time, I think they're relying on it way too heavily. I think that they're saying, well, COVID. Hey, could you speed things up? No, COVID. How about this? Could you try? No, COVID. No, we can't make that go faster. On January 20th, 2021, we thought a new day was dawning. Joseph Biden was being sworn in as president, and he was going to bring in the big boys and the big girls, the people who knew how to fix this agency to try to make things go better at USCIS. He appointed Alejandro Mayorkas. Mr. Mayorkas used to be the head of USCIS, was now being appointed the head of Homeland Security. So we thought, wow, here's someone who actually has run the agency before, who is an immigrant himself and who purports to care about immigrants. He was going to be in charge of Homeland Security. Then it took a little while for them to appoint Jadu as the head of USCIS. So these are people who are career bureaucrats and politicians, people who've worked in these agencies before. And we thought, well, the Biden team will move as quickly to dismantle the bad changes that Trump's team did. But lo and behold, they have not done that. They have moved so slowly, super slowly. Hopefully you're going to hear crickets when we shoot this video, and I'm just going to pause here to allow that crickets noise because that's what we're seeing now. I broke that fourth wall or whatever that thing's called. So where does this lead us? Well, as of April of 2022, there are millions and millions of backlogs. There are an estimated 1.4 million employment-based green cards that are backed up and that aren't being processed. There are an estimated 4 million marriage-based and family-based green card cases that are pending before USCIS. Do you have any idea how many they scheduled for interview in April of 2022? Any idea with a backlog of, 5 million total? How many do you think that they're scheduling a month? 1 million? 200,000? 100,000? Nope. 33,000. And in fact, that was the same amount that they had done in March. So you're talking about 33,000 interviews versus a backlog of 5 million, and interviews are required in the vast majority of these cases. It's going to take decades, literally decades, for USCIS to get out from under this hole unless they start making some fundamental changes in the way that they operate. I know it sounds dire. I know you're probably depressed. I know you probably are thinking you're never going to get your green card, and that's sad. And I don't say all this to make you depressed. I do say it to let you know that there is a little bit of hope on the horizon, and that's something called the Jumpstart Act. The Jumpstart Act was recently introduced by Congresswoman Zoe Lofgren from California, and it seeks to address many of these issues. And you might be surprised to find out who they want to pay for these changes. They want to pass these costs on to the immigrants. No big surprise there, but they're coming up with a program in the Jumpstart Act that would allow people to pay a lot more money to get their cases processed a whole lot faster. Let's talk about it. One thing that might surprise you is that there have been over 150,000 visas that basically went in the trash over the last 30 years. Congress has mandated the number of visas that are available each year, and if USCIS doesn't process cases fast enough, those visas go into the trash. So unbelievably, there have been 150,000 visas and therefore green cards basically thrown in the trash over the last 30 years. This Jumpstart Act would recapture those and allow USCIS to use those visas in future cases to help cut down on that backlog. And that's a really good idea. One other thing the Jumpstart Act would do would allow people who won the diversity visa lottery under Donald Trump from 2017 to 2020 to reapply. They weren't allowed to come because Trump had a ban on allowing them to come. It was an unofficial ban, but the numbers dropped precipitously. And the thing about the diversity visa is if you don't get your visa in that calendar year, you're basically screwed. And this law would allow them to reapply, those people who weren't able to get their green cards. But the biggest change would allow people who have long pending cases with backlogs to spend a whole lot of money and get their green cards a whole lot faster. Now, this is sort of mind-boggling to me. They want to charge extra to allow people to get their green cards and to get their temporary work cards a whole lot faster. The way that it would work is you would spend money, you would pay extra thousands of dollars to have your case put at the front of the line and to allow, even if your case has a priority date that's not current, to get it processed now. So basically, they're going to allow immigrants who have money to pay extra fees to get their green cards faster. And for people whose green cards haven't been processed right away, they can just pay a couple $1,000s. For people with priority dates that are more than 2 years old, they can jump the line by paying almost $5,000 or $6,000 or $7,000. So they want to use the money that would come through this program to then hire more people to work through the backlog. It's a little bit ingenious, but I think there's two fundamental problems with it. Problem number one, of course, is that you're talking about a bitterly divided Congress. Nobody wants to give Joe Biden an immigration win. Nobody wants the Democrats to get an immigration win. Nobody wants the Republicans to get an immigration win. And nobody works together. It's a pretty deadlocked Congress. So the idea that the Jumpstart Act will even pass is, I wouldn't say laughable, but I think it's quite a long shot. The other problem is that even if the act passes, even if it becomes law, I believe that members of the far right political world would file lawsuits all over the country trying to say that this act is not legal and that it is inconsistent with the Immigration Nationality Act, and that they haven't changed the fact that there are a limited number of visas available every year, and that they've done an end run around that by basically auctioning them off to the highest bidder. The last problem, which is sort of a bonus problem, was that what do we want to do as far as allowing people with more money to get their immigration benefits faster than people who don't have money? Does that seem fair? It doesn't seem fair to me, and it doesn't seem fair that an agency that has already collected fees for what they said they would do, for what they have budgeted to do, and for what they say they have enough money to run their agency, why should they get a bunch of extra money on the backs of immigrants because this stupid agency can't do their job? That's a real problem. If you have questions about the Jumpstart Act, or if you're hopeful and thinking that your case might start to go a little bit faster, feel free to give us a call, 314-961-8200. You can email us, info@hackinglawpractice.com. Be sure to join us in our Facebook group. It's called Immigrant Home. We'd love to see you there. We're almost up to 7,700 members, and there's immigrants in there talking every single day about their cases. You might learn a lot, and you might make some friends. And then, of course, we have our YouTube channel. We'd love it if you would subscribe so that whenever we make videos like this one, you would get an alert. And don't forget that most days of the week, early in the week, we are going live in our Immigration Answers show, and you can find that in our Facebook group or on our YouTube channel. Thanks a lot. Have a great day.